what do the most prepared tax leaders do differently from the rest in Middle East?
I believe strong tax leaders, they understand the relevance of taxation for the success of the business.
So, what mistakes do reactive tax teams, consistently make?
Tax teams, they tend to be reactive. They wait for the questions to come, for the business to define the guidance. They wait the problems to happen to work on the closure of a gap.
Welcome to the Middle East Tax Leaders Decision Series by Transformance. I am Rashmi Rawat, your host. Today, our guest is Mr. Henrique Andrade, who is a Regional Tax and Global Trade Manager for Henkel. Across the Middle East, India, and Africa, he holds 14 plus years of experience in international tax, strategy, and global trade leadership. He is a recognized expert in shaping tax policy and compliances across complex multinational environments. We are honored to welcome him. So, the theme of is what prepared tax leaders do differently, right? So, the first point which we will be talking about is the reality. So, my first question to you, Henrique, is like, what do the most prepared tax leaders do differently from the rest in Middle East?
Thank you very much for the question, Rashmi. I believe strong tax leaders, they understand the relevance of taxation for the success of the business. And therefore, they proactively act to articulate its ideas to stakeholders. They develop and empower its team to create new leaders for the organization. They know how to interpret the laws to define scenarios and strategies for to lay them out for discussions with the leadership. They network with policymakers and industry leaders as well to be ahead in the discussions and influence the decisions prior they are implemented. And also they seek the best tools for its professionals. Uh, and I believe, in addition to that, strong tax leaders, they go beyond the taxation topic. Usually, they study topics such as treasury, logistics, fixed assets, and macroeconomics in general as well. Because when they understand these topics, they can really add value to the business, understanding the reality of the business, the environment that uh, the business is inserted, and also he can easily articulate those ideas with different business functions because the tax leader will be able to speak the same language that they are saying. So in that context, I believe strong tax leaders are those who are proactive and accountable for the overall success of an organization and take all the necessary actions to ensure the implementation of a successful tax strategy and also an efficient process and stakeholder awareness plus a team performance.
Correct, correct. That's a great point, Henrique. Could you please, break this down into 2 to 3 points on that?
Strong tax leaders, they understand the relevance of taxation for business success, and therefore they are proactive to articulate ideas and strategies to stakeholders. They develop and empower its team to create new leaders and network with policymakers, industry leaders to be ahead in discussions and influence decisions prior to the implementation. I believe these are one of the greatest skills that a strong tax leader have and do differently to create a business impact,
Correct.
accountability, and proactivity.
So let's go to another question. Another question is on based on the risk and watchouts. So what mistakes do reactive tax teams, consistently make, and what they should be watching out for?
Perfect. Thank you again for the question. That's a great question. Tax functions and process in general, they are in the end of the business operation. So tax teams, they tend to be reactive. They wait for the questions to come, for the business to define the guidance. They wait the problems to happen to work on the closure of a gap. They wait a professional to leave to start thinking on implementing the right tools to facilitate the job of their team. And we are allowed to be changed to discuss the interpretation. So I believe these are reactive mistakes that most tax teams make, and they justify that it's not their responsibility. I have heard a lot of times tax professionals around many organizations say this
Right.
responsibility, but you should be accountable for the overall business success, not only for the tax part of it, right? And these reactive mistakes, they can create a significant impact in the organization. If you do not close a gap, if it's not timely corrected, it might turn into penalties and fines. A high turnover due to lack of proper tools might turn into a broken process and the loss of talents as well. And the lack of networking with policymakers might imply unfavorable taxation when a new law is implemented as well.
Right, right. That's really a valid point. So, how would you summarize this answer in, 2 to 3 bullet points?
Okay. So tax functions and process are at the end of the business process flow. So there is a tendency for tax professionals to be reactive. And the most common mistakes that I see is to wait a question from the business, from other business functions to properly define the guidance. They wait a problem to happen to work on the closure of the gap. They wait a professional to leave the organization to understand that they should deploy and purchase tools to facilitate the work of this professional. So, and in the end, I could mention as well, they usually wait a law to change to then network with the policymakers and to discuss any interpretation. So I believe these are the most common mistakes that
Right.
reactive tax teams do.
Consistently making. Right, right. That's really a great and valid point, Henrique. So moving forward, let us come to the focus, which is needed very much, and I believe that is what everybody is working on. So, what key habits and leadership decisions separate strong tax leaders from the rest? So, what are the habits which are, affecting the decisions?
Perfect. That's another great question. And I believe strong tax leaders, they position themselves as a reference in taxation inside the organization and have a seat at the table to ensure the implementation of efficient tax strategies. And they will do that having some daily routines that will enable them to achieve these results. And I believe some of those habits are making some time to network with stakeholders and ensure awareness about taxation. They will study topics that go beyond taxation to speak the same language of other functions and make it easy to articulate ideas and implications of taxation. It will he will read news and articles to be on top of what is happening in the internal and also in the external environment. And from time to time, we'll go deeper in the process to ensure that everything will be flowing smoothly and accurately.
Right. Great. So that's the focus actually everybody needs to, have on, and that's really very much needed in the market right now. So, moving to our next focus point is practical examples, which is very much necessary, right? So, can you please share an example of well prepared tax leaders or a team?
Perfect. A well-prepared team, I believe it starts with the role team structuring and segregation of roles and responsibilities, especially when we are talking about tax operations, meaning preparation of tax returns and account reconciliations, and tax advisor that is responsible for defining the strategy and providing the guidance. For tech team structuring, it's important to define first the size of your business operation, map the tax process needed to run the tax operations, as well as define how many professionals among analysts, seniors, and managers you need to run it. Once you have everything mapped, the process, and defined the number of EFTs you need to run it, it's important to segregate the roles and responsibilities so that professionals can be fully aware about their scope of work and they will be naturally accountable for the results. One point that is important here is the worst scenario you can have in your organization is lack of clarity about roles and responsibilities because it creates an environment in which no one is accountable and does not want to collaborate with other professionals, or the opposite, in which it creates internal conflicts since people feel that other people are invading their scope of work.
Correct.
So segregation of roles and responsibilities is really important. And once you have the structure and you define roles and responsibilities, number of FT needed and everything, it's time to put the right people in the right place. So professionals with transactional skills, they will be performing tax operations, and professionals with technical skills, they will be performing tax advisory and strategy. Uh, I believe so. As I mentioned in the beginning, everything starts with the right team structuring, then defining who are the persons who will be allocated to the right points, segregating roles and responsibilities, and at last, a very important point is the culture. So the culture is the responsibility of the leader as well to create the vision, the mission, and to instill that in the culture, in the mind of your team. These aspects are very important, and the leader must be able to influence its team to follow and to have this behavior of a mindset built on the principles of accountability, growth, and proactivity.
Right. The very best point you have brought up, Henrique, because roles and regulation, putting right people at the right place is very much important, and that's where everybody is looking for and little bit struggling also. So yeah, very nice example you have got. Thank you very much about it. Moving to our next topic is our near future. So now things have changed and they are not just like before in Middle East. So what mindset will tax leaders need going forward? Because if they do that, that's how the future will be handled. So what do you think about it? What mindset will lead the tax leaders?
Perfect. Thank you again for the question. I believe in order to succeed, tax leaders must have a mindset built on principles of accountability, proactivity, and growth. Accountability to own the results of our actions and ensure the success of the overall business organization. Proactivity to ensure timely action with intention and positivity, and also growth to push the boundaries of our limits and embrace new challenges, be open to hearing and learning from different people, and persist on tough situations. Because these are the principles that should guide our behavior, our daily routine, and what is going to guide us towards the success.
Correct. So it was wonderful, meaningful, and insightful Q&A session we had. Thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you
Yes,
very much for the
thank you.
opportunity,
Thank you very
the
much.
great questions that you laid out. I'm looking forward to seeing it.